I'm good as well. YouTube, hello. Hello. All right. Yeah, I have the button. Forgot.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, YouTube viewers, good to have you here. Josh is on his way in. Johnny's here. Johnny, you were the most appropriately dressed person at our Super Bowl party. You had on full ref gear. What did you think about your team in the Super Bowl?
I mean, a shaky start.
Yeah, sure.
Had to get their bearings, feet under them, and then an outstanding game. My boy Ron had a great game. Great game.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? We didn't really have much controversy other than some angry fans at that first that offensive pass interference call because, as you are well aware, listeners, the Eagles, it was a splattering in New Orleans. The score was 40-22 by the time it was all said and done, and it was not even remotely that close. This game was 34-0 at one point. So we'll recap the game here a little bit, but before we do that, Johnny, what's going on, man? Other than the Super Bowl, how was your week? What's going on?
Oh, I mean, yesterday just really helped, though, man. It really helped.
Sure.
Not what I expected whatsoever. Otherwise, I'm doing well. You know, I'm finally shifted in my mind in the last 2 weeks from football to basketball. So we're like NBA trade deadline definitely helped with that. Getting to go to a Buckeye game helped with that.
Yeah.
But we're ready to go. Dive into some basketball.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit on the show here. A little bit of a shortened show for us. We got some things going on, but we'll cram it in as best as we can. My week was good too. I mean, the Super Bowl was not that good of a game, but if the Chiefs had won in that manner, I think you'd have a lot of just generally disappointed NFL fans. And I think there's still some disappointment because that game was so out of hand, but it was almost so out of hand it was interesting because it was so out of hand.
It was great.
So obviously, Philadelphia is celebrating their city. Does it exist anymore? I don't know. It might be burned to the ground. Tough to say, but they were obviously.
We need a wellness check on the city.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
I don't know how to do that. Wilmington, Delaware, that you're up. Do a wellness check on Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, look, I know a couple of us actually picked Philadelphia to win, but it was by like 3. Few people, other than hysterical Eagles fans who just assume they're going to beat every team by 1,000, had this kind of game in mind. And it was top to bottom. It was the offense just controlling the ball unbelievably well. It was the defense getting the Chiefs off the field. If anything, Johnny, was there one thing that stuck out to you that you were just, the whole thing was shocking, but was there one thing in particular that really stood out to you that you're like, whoa, didn't see this coming?
Vic Fangio didn't have to call a single blitz.
Yeah, right.
And they sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times still.
Yeah.
And that's not including hurries and hits and times where Patrick did get away from them, but he only got 2 yards. He just got across the line of scrimmage. Patrick never really escaped in this game. Never. Because he was swarmed by multiple players. How many times do you see Patrick kind of roam around in the backfield and escape? But it's usually one guy going after him. It was always at minimum 2 Eagles defensive linemen coming at him, and then a secondary or a linebacker would come for him too. And he had nowhere to go. It was awesome. And that dictated, football is really simple sometimes. If you get pressure with 4 consistently, many times the game's over.
Yep.
Like that's it. If one team's doing that and the other team's not, because that allowed the Eagles to sit back, and they have a quality secondary. It's not a bad secondary. Shout out to those young kids, those rookie corners out on the edges, repping Toledo and Iowa, on the edges there. They were awesome. But it helps when Vic Fangio says, I don't even have to blitz. The 4 will do their job. They're going to win, and I'll drop 7. And, we've kind of talked about this for a while. Do the Chiefs really have a lot of great receivers? No.
Mm-hmm.
They have some specific qualities that are good. You know, like despite DeAndre Hopkins unable to catch the one pass he really should have, he normally has really good hands. Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown are really fast. Like Travis Kelce normally can just kind of find gaps in the zone. And no,
Yep.
like they were all just poor. So I thought that was it, where it's like, man, 6 sacks, not a single blitz in a game. I don't know if I've ever seen a stat like that.
Well, right, and you're thinking to yourself, you're listening to this podcast, having watched the game maybe yesterday if you're watching live on YouTube, or a couple days ago, and you're thinking, okay, like guys, I get it, funny, like they didn't blitz at all, like there was so much pressure in the backfield, they had to have at least blitzed once or twice. No, they literally did not blitz any of the 42 dropbacks that Patrick Mahomes had. Now, maybe they blitzed when there was like a run play called, but in terms of Mahomes' 42 dropbacks, 0 blitzes. They generated 16 pressures according to Next Gen Stats and sacked Mahomes 6 times. That's the most in a game in his career. So, look, Mahomes didn't play well at all, and he's said as much.
Really
he said
bad.
Really bad. But on kind of the other side of the coin is, well, what the heck is he supposed to do? Because it's not like he has those checkdowns that are open in a typical, when that, I mean, the Chiefs at times, they blitzed the house. A couple times it worked, but more often than not, Jalen Hurts found the right guy. When you are getting that kind of pressure with 4 people, there is no right guy to find. And look, I mean, Travis was available a couple times. You said that. I mean, there was some drops. It was just bad all the way around. But that, I mean, you're right. Sometimes football is really simple, and the Eagles doing that against the Chiefs made this game really simple and really, really a blowout. And the funny thing is, like, I'm sitting there watching as a Lions fan before the game and thinking, like, oh, like this kind of stinks. My team's not there again. And, if we don't throw like 5 picks against the Commanders, like I feel like we do well. Like last year, I was watching the Chiefs thinking like, I don't know. I think the Lions could have beat the Chiefs because they also did in week 1 last year. And then I watched what the Eagles did, and I was like, yeah, no shot. Probably no shot the Lions get past the Eagles. And that was always my team that I was concerned with. In the end, just because I don't know, they're so good.
They put it together.
For reference,
they just hadn't really put it together before the last few weeks of the season.
And
it took them a long time.
We talked about like the Eagles' path to victory last week, if it was going to happen, and all of our collective thoughts were, well, the Eagles are going to have to run the ball well. Saquon averaged 2.7 yards per carry. He's washed, folks. That's what I'm here to tell you. Washed.
Chiefs sold out on the run.
Yes, they did.
Like they sold out. They said, we're going to stop the run, beat us. But the thing is, and this is Howie Roseman's credit more than anyone, really, the fact that you have not only do you have a good offensive line and Saquon and a decent quarterback, you also have somehow paired him with weapons on the outside. Teams aren't usually able to do that. And he's only been able to do that, one, because he's just been great at manipulating through trades, but more so, they've nailed the draft. They haven't had to spend a lot of big money in certain positions, especially on defense, because they're just nailing the draft.
Yep.
And that frees up you to spend that money on the players you want to, not players you need to, because you hit the draft. I thought that like Howie Roseman is getting a lot of credit today. He deserves all of it because he's the one who put the team together. And it's been remarkable because they've been this good for 4 years now. Like they've been really, really good. And when Jalen Hurts is healthy, man, like, and he's 17 to 22.
Yeah.
Like he didn't throw it but that's perfect. Like, and that's okay. Like winning quarterbacks don't come in the exact same shape and size. Jalen Hurts is uber efficient. He picked perfect times to run when he ran early in that game when it was still in reach. But Aaron, I agree with you from the standpoint of like, what is Mahomes supposed to do? At the same point in time, I don't want to let him off the hook because we're talking, not us, but the whole 2 weeks leading up to this was, well, if he wins, he's probably the GOAT. Yeah. He's better than Tom Brady. And we don't like talking about that stuff because that's ridiculous. But it is indicative of how high esteemed he is by everybody in the league. And
Yep.
so I'm not about to let him off the hook like that. Then when he plays awful and everyone's like, well, what was he supposed to do? There was no one for him to throw it to, and the offensive line was bad. Listen, I watched Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe is also pressured at a ridiculous rate. And Patrick never was able to pre-snap manipulate the defense at all. And he does have Andy Reid as a head coach, so Andy Reid deserves a lot of the blame here too. That the two of them combined, my expectation is that the two of them would find a way to get something going, manipulate the defense, get some screen passes to create holes in the defense to work. And so, I don't know if you want to give more blame to Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes there, but Patrick's not a young quarterback anymore either.
Yeah.
And if you're going to compare him to Tom Brady, compare him to Tom Brady. Tom didn't lose games like that, especially in the Super Bowl. And no one was better than him pre-snap. And Patrick never adjusted. He was always reacting to the Eagles. He was never manipulating them. And that's something Tom was brilliant at, was making the defense react to him when he was in the pocket, pre and post snap. And, that's a high level to compare to, but that's what everybody's been doing.
Right.
So I'm gonna do it. And he was awful. He was awful in that game.
Yeah. Well, a couple random things real quick. Number one, we started this show, I think the week before the Super Bowl, way back in 2021.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of our 4-year birthday, and we've put out a lot of episodes.
Aww.
We've put out 170 some. So thank you, listeners, for continuing to support the show. We appreciate it. But however, there's one guy out. Well, there's many people out there, but one guy specifically out there who is going harder than we are, but he has a very notable day job. It's Paul George. Since joining the Philadelphia Sixers, Paul George has uploaded more podcast clips to YouTube, 228. He is far surpassing us in that category, than field goals made with 191. So that's a stat for you. This podcast is rolling on. We're going into year 4. We're chugging along, but not like Paul George is. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, Josh is here. I have interrupted Josh's week time 2 weeks in a row. I am not going to do it a third week. So Josh, hello. Welcome in. No. How's your week going, man?
I caused my own lateness. See, here's the thing. We finally realized, and when I say we, I mean me, realized that I simply do not have what it takes to use a professional studio microphone as much as I would love to. Every time, and you guys are much better at listening to the podcast than even I am, you would have seen that there's random pops, some bleeps, some bloops. I learned a lot of cool, fancy words about audio production. And all of that meant that my audio for, I think, 2 months straight was so significantly and clearly worse than Aaron and Johnny's. I now have I've now gone back to my home studio setup. And I got a cool microphone arm that is off screen on purpose. It's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
It's not cool. I have a low profile one.
Well, yours is, I would prefer a low profile mine. If you're on YouTube right now, there's a giant arm that looks like it's about to strangle me. So
yeah, here, let me loosen it. I can do all.
Hey.
It's great for the audio too. Look at that.
Yeah, right.
So it's nice.
Nice.
All that being said is, I forgot that I live in Dallas. And you know what you can't do in Dallas? Get places.
Trade away Luka Doncic.
Oh, no, you can do that, apparently. More of that later.
More of that later. I was trying to keep it light.
Yeah, don't drag Josh down like that. Great. Come on.
My week's been fantastic. You know why my week was great? You know who I watched the Super Bowl with last night? First off, before I say anything, happy Florida State Day for those who don't celebrate.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
it
210.
is. 210. Happy Florida State Day.
Yes.
They will be celebrating it annually until that one fan partakes of the food, if you will, that he promised he would from a red Solo cup. So they're cursed until then. I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
We don't make the rules. My week was great because I watched the Super Bowl with nothing but Chiefs fans in attendance. It was great. It was a really nice thing. A friend from church was like, "Hey, why don't you come over, watch the Super Bowl? It'll be super low key." And I'm like, "Awesome." His whole in-law, all the in-laws were there. All of them lifetime Chiefs fans. So I'll give them a pass there because they had a hard life for a while. And everybody was a Chiefs fan, and they all said, "Oh, who are you rooting for?" And I'm like, I'm a Steelers guy, so it's not like I really have a dog in the fight. I did. And, I picked on the podcast. You got to always push the podcast.
Right,
I picked on the podcast. I was going to, I picked Chiefs over Eagles. So, we'll see. And then that first quarter, truly just the first quarter was all I needed to feel a little bit better about myself.
Yeah.
It was a great.
You were well hydrated, drinking all those tears.
Well hydrated. I've never been more happy to lose a point.
Well, we all lost, Josh. No worries.
Yep. Yeah, no harm there. There's
Big
even more
O for
losing that
this
we'll
week.
talk about when we get to picks of the week. There was a whole lot of. I mean, we won in this week. Our weeks were good, but in terms of our picks, there was a whole lot of losing. Unsurprising too. Everyone's jaw remained in place when no listeners surprised.
Oh man, but what an incredible. I don't want to overstep what you guys did, so long story short, I am late, so you guys may have talked about this 15 minutes ago. At this point, it was insane how efficient. I know I was coming in on the maybe Patrick Mahomes can do more than just throw to his first look every time. I'm not a defensive coordinator, and I could pick up on that pattern, but or just trust that he may not even hit that target half the time.
True. Yeah.
It was incredible to see just how clearly dominant the Eagles O-line was. I think tallest and heaviest O-line. Just those big, beautiful. I believe first half they were. I think they got 50% of their. Oh, was it drop back rushes or something? I forget. They didn't blitz the first. They didn't blitz the first half.
Right. Well, at all the whole game.
It was just their four big boys.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry, their defensive line as well.
Oh, I was going to say the offensive line also played. The offensive line also did play fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd see, and this is why I came in late. They said the correct thing most likely 10 minutes ago in podcast land. And I go, hey, I love how the O-line sacked Patrick Mahomes.
A very quick aside, because we do need to move on. For all of you who complain about people talking during games, I don't feel like you should be welcoming to those others outside of our realm that wish to potentially partake of sports.
Yes.
Welcome them in. But especially during the Super Bowl, you should be willing to do that. And one of my favorite things last night was me and Aaron were watching it with a group of friends. And one of our friends who kind of watches football, but not a ton, she was like just in awe the whole game of how large the offensive linemen were for the Philadelphia Eagles, averaging like 6'6", 350 pounds.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, it's pretty insane. But like, she just kept repeating it all game. Like, they're what? Like, how is that possible?
Those are the
and honestly,
boys.
It's true. It's true. Nobody's really naturally that size typically. So, I mean, those dudes, Hurts was well protected.
Yeah.
Well protected.
Yep.
Some of the most efficient tush push I have seen.
Yeah.
True.
In like 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yep. Well, last question I have for the Super Bowl before we do move on. What was worse, the Kansas City Chiefs performance or the new score bug?
Ooh. Chiefs.
Here's the thing.
Close.
Okay.
Here's the thing
Chiefs,
with the
but
score
close.
bug. I think about the score bug. My friend pointed this out. So it wasn't set to like 100% or sorry, 0%. What is that? Opacity?
Sure. Yeah.
There was like 1% that was like, you could see this invisible line around, and they kept it up for like when they would talk about a highlight of a player, it was on the far left and far right of the screens.
Oh,
it wasn't fully. Yeah. It wasn't even, didn't even fully do what they were trying for it to do, which is, its job. So even by its own standards, because I was trying to be gracious and be like, hey, maybe this is a
terrible.
I'm not a graphic designer. Graphic design is not my passion, but I'm glad it's somebody's. And maybe like I want to just be in the room and see what their thoughts are. But they didn't even execute the bad
It's
idea.
the same guy
correctly.
who did the crew logo. It's the same
Probably.
guy.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
is everyone
stop hiring
into
him.
minimalism.
Yeah. I tweeted this
Give me
out and some of you all
maximalism.
liked this. So
It's
I'm
New Orleans. I
assuming
want
you agree.
maximalism.
I said, when's the last time a network actually improved their score bug? It's getting worse, guys. It's getting progressive.
Yeah,
like everybody.
worse.
Like Fox is the most
Actually, I like
egregious.
ESPN's for the playoff. I like ESPN.
Well, okay,
That
sure.
was fine.
Yeah, sure. I guess if I'm zero, well, I guess it's overarching. But like Fox, you guys have the worst score bug of everything now. It's the worst in college
it's
football.
easily
It's
the worst.
easily the worst in college basketball. It's now easily the worst in NFL. And what's even left? Baseball is kind of mid, I would say. So
Yeah, it's just
yeah. Anyways, that's my
terrible scoreboard.
yeah. It was bad, and I think a lot of people agreed. So, yay, everyone! If
It was bad, and they should feel bad.
yeah, yep. All right. The other thing we want to talk about because, guys, we are less than a month away from conference championships in college basketball. It is NCAA basketball. If you're watching on YouTube, we have our fancy little ticker, and actually at this exact moment, what great timing, you can see our bracketology. It's moving on past. So we've got the top seed, you've got Auburn, you've got Duke, you've got Houston, you've got Alabama, all as projected 1 seeds by our resident bracketologist, Johnny, who's also got Bubble Watch out there as well. So that's scrolling on past here on YouTube. But Johnny, just talk to us a little bit about, again, because this is kind of maybe the footballer's guide to college basketball.
Yeah.
Like the Super Bowl ends and then everyone kind of like blinks their eyes like, oh my gosh, spring training's here. And then college basketball's here more recently, or will be more recently. So give us just an overview of what's happening. There's a lot of top teams going down on a daily basis practically. What's happening in college hoops?
Well, first off, number 1 and number 2 went down on Saturday, which is always fun if you love sports and you love upsets. Dick Vitale was back for his first time in like 2 years to call that Clemson upset over Duke. That was awesome. And then Auburn went down to another top 10 team in Florida. Auburn stayed number 1 after that because they've just been so far ahead of the pack. But you know who number 2 is Alabama.
That's crazy.
So a potential Iron Bowl number 1 versus number 2 is in the offing. And more to that is the SEC a basketball conference now. We kind of joked about that previously. Sure. They are the only teams in the SEC that aren't really near the bubble watch at this point are LSU and South Carolina. Pretty much every other SEC team has a legitimate chance and a really great chance to make the NCAA tournament. Currently, I have Arkansas as my first team out, but I have every other SEC team in that I have not already mentioned other than those 3. So really strong conference this year. They have a lot of elite teams, something that the Big 12 has the depth, but they lack a lot of elite teams outside of Houston this season. Bad year for the ACC yet again. Big 10 kind of middle of the road. Big 10 and Big East kind of middle of the road. Not special, not bad. But something to bring up is always just one, bubble watch, but that'll lead me into mid-majors too. So bubble watch, as you see it on the ticker, scoring past, you got Nebraska, who just beat Ohio State, so they're slightly ahead of them. Ohio State beat Texas this season. Texas beat Oklahoma. So they made it very nice and easy for me so far this season. Where those 4 all have undefeated. Well, they all have a very similar resume right now. And so you can parse that out. And there's several teams above the next 4 in that are not remotely safe. We're early in this process. We have a whole nother month to go. And then last 4 in right now, BYU, who's been free falling. Wake Forest has been there the whole time. San Diego State, bad loss to the Colorado State this weekend. And SMU, despite being in the ACC, really lacks the quality wins. Something to remember this year is just you might see some gaudy conference records, even in the power conferences. But because of the super conference, that doesn't mean you have a strong strength of schedule, just like football. You might somehow avoid some of the elite teams in your conference, or you might only play them once, which means you might not have even played them yet. So SMU could get out of here very easily with a couple really good wins. Arkansas is my first team out, followed by Drake. Love the Drake Bulldogs, North Carolina, Cincinnati, Boise State, Xavier, Pitt, who's free falling, and Villanova. So those are your bubble teams so far. Drake is easily my favorite mid-major team. I love them. I struggle to not just put them in the field because they're 22-2, but both of their losses are conference losses, which is really tough. When you're a mid-major, you want those losses to be in the non-conference. But they beat Vanderbilt and Kansas State this year. Kansas State really hasn't helped Drake a lot, but Kansas State's climbing, which could elevate the Bulldogs' standing. Of course, Drake could just win the Missouri Valley Conference, of course, as usual. And then a couple others that I want to bring some shine on a little bit is UC San Diego. They were playing the UC Irvine Anteaters. So we got Tritons and Anteaters going at it in the Big West Conference. Great year for the Big West Conference. I'd love for both of these teams to be in March Madness. It's probably not super likely, but here's to hoping. If there was a next 4 out, both of them would be in that. So they're within 12, if you will, from the bubble. But the Tritons came out on top of the Anteaters in that game, and they also have a win over Utah State, which is really, really a great win for them. Not a lot of bad losses there. They're 20-4, excellent team. Both of them have the potential to knock off somebody come March time. So be on the lookout for them. Oh, and also San Francisco. They get lost all the time in that West Conference, but they're 20-6. They're 10-3 in that conference. Their only losses are to like Santa Clara, Washington State, Bradley, all really solid teams, and they beat St. Mary's so far this season. They're actually still in the West Coast Conference race. So those are some mid-majors. If you're already like, who can I be looking out for? Those are some true mid-majors, not, Mountain West,
right?
Or, your classic like Dayton teams. These are teams that be monitor them, see where they end up in March when it comes to matchups, and they could be pulling off some fun upsets later on.
Yeah, and if you heard Johnny say Washington State and and West Coast in the same sentence, that is correct. Them and Oregon State are in the West Coast Conference this year, which does elevate that conference. So you talked about the record that San Francisco has. Without them, strength of schedule is a little bit different, so all the metrics kind of shift a little bit. Not that like Oregon State and Washington State are, like these world beaters, but I mean, your conference is just that much deeper and better, as that conference actually is going to undergo some wild changes here in the next couple of years with lots more conference realignment. The other thing I'll add too, you talked about Auburn, Alabama, number 1 versus number 2. Make some plans so you can cancel them, so you can watch Auburn at Alabama this Saturday at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Yeah. And if that's not good enough for you, they play again in Auburn on the final day of the regular season in the SEC, Saturday, March 8th. That's at 2 p.m. That's already an ESPN telecast. So number 1 versus number 2, they probably won't be that. Well, they could be, I guess, on March 8th, but 1 versus 2 doesn't happen very often, let alone in the same conference. So that will be awesome. There you go.
This is the Iron Bowl we've wanted for a while.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
The true Iron Bowl.
Yep. So awesome. Looking forward to that. Johnny, thank you for that college basketball update. As always, Johnny is dialed in. We will be lots more bracketology information coming your way. So stay tuned to our social medias, and we'll obviously be talking about it here on the pod as well.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
After much soul searching, after looking at a map, I have come to the conclusion.
Okay.
It's the Cavs. The Cavs. My Cavs, Josh. That's who you have, right?
It's the Cavs. It's the Cavs over the Nuggets. Yes, you got me.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
Just a reminder, folks, if the Cavs and Nuggets play in the NBA Finals, Johnny has, for some reason, committed to doing the Nugget Challenge. So for his sake, we
every
need game, which is it's insane to do it for one game, frankly. To do it in potentially a 7-game series, we were doing the math on Saturday, and it's egregious. I'll put it that way.
The price tag's egregious.
Well, the price tag, your hospital bill later is egregious.
The mental, the spiritual, the physical price tag. There's a lot of price tags that we don't talk about enough when it comes to
the Nugget Challenge.
He's alive.
Yeah. So for his sake, probably root against the Cavs or the Nuggets, whichever team you choose. Cavs are playing great still. And big trade. We get to see the debut of DeAndre Hunter. This is not what we're picking, but just throwing that out there. There was also... Well, let me do it this way. Scoreboard is the same as last week because us three dum-dums all picked the Houston Rockets to beat up on the Dallas Mavericks. But in a way, although Dallas won the game against their in-state rivals, they have taken another L. Anthony Davis had an insane first half. Like almost double first half, screaming, "I'm here." The fans are just super pumped up after having their, candlelight vigil for Luka. And then in the third quarter, Anthony Davis goes down with a non-contact injury. He's likely out for a month. Who could have seen this, Josh?
Odd. Man, I wish this was disclosed to Nico Harrison, and then he declines to care about it before he traded away.
Yep.
It's okay. You know what is?
Who could have seen it?
Who could have? I'm so sad.
Who could have known, Josh?
Could have known that a really tall, skinny guy might not be the most durable of body types.
Who could have known?
Who could have known? Man, if only there was a way to prevent this.
Yeah, I know.
Oh well, nothing you can do except cry for the next decade. Maybe you can. I guess they get a first-round pick in 2029, so hopefully you can draft like a Luka type, if you will.
Yeah, right.
See if you can catch lightning in a bottle, man. If that Luka guy was free, I'd trade for him.
Yeah, Luka makes his Lakers debut. Well, yeah, he's making his Lakers debut tonight as we're recording.
They rescinded one of the trades.
They did?
That the Mavs made. Yeah.
Yep.
I forget.
Well,
which
the
one
Lakers with
Mark
Williams.
Yep.
Yeah. Denied that one. So apparently it is possible for somebody to step in and go,
And Luka must not have been that fat because he passed his physical. So
yeah, Mike Williams' body said trade rescinded.
Yeah. Yikes. Which that was the concern, like when they traded him. And if you saw our Twitter account, I said, this is dumb. Don't give up Dalton Connect. I know you need a center, Lakers. I get that. But Dalton Connect's a fantastic shooter. And that's been one of your biggest problems as the Lakers is finding shooting. They have it this year, which makes them dangerous. Anyways, I won't belabor the point. Luka debuting tonight. There's also other debuts happening. Like I said, DeAndre Hunter, big pickup by the Cavs. Really, really like that. I think that's a tremendous move. Just a perfect fit there for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's other players that have been making their debuts as well. You had De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio. You recently had Jimmy Butler in Golden State. We'll maybe at some point break down how that saga ended, but he's in Golden State. So after all that, our scoreboard's the same. Josh, you are in the lead with 5 points. Johnny and I with 4. You did not get a point for Kansas City winning the Super Bowl. And
good.
We went over 3.
I would have returned it. I would have returned it.
I respect that, Josh. That's not so. If you would have returned it, would the next pick have been worth like double the points? Is that how that works?
Well, I would have hoped you would have
double negative 2 though. It would have been
double or
like
nothing.
+2 or -2.
Listen, I can't do. I'm legally not allowed to do sports betting in Texas. This is the only way I can get.
Which is insane. Of all states, that's not the one you would have thought.
Hey, of all things, do you know who just came out literally like 2 days ago and said, "Hey, I'm actually for this"?
Mark Cuban
Governor Greg Abbott.
Oh, well, there you go.
He himself was like, So
yeah, because he himself's probably driving over to Oklahoma and
he's driving up to Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's driving up to the Choctaw Casino.
Nah,
yeah,
he's got a guy up there. He just lives at Choctaw.
Yeah, true. He's got a shared sports betting account with his friend that definitely won't get him in trouble.
No. Oh, no. Oh, no. What a bad idea.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Disaster.
I need that on the soundboard. I've got to add that for next week. All right, this week we're picking the Four Nations face-off. So if you're looking at the NHL schedule, you're not going to see any games for the next 2 weeks. Why? Because we are some people are taking a break. The best hockey players in the world are not, because they are, if they're from one of these four nations. It's the Four Nations face-off. Guys, I'm really excited about this. The U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden, kind of the 4 premier hockey playing countries, are getting together for a nice little tournament that hopefully is a preview of the Winter Olympics next year when NHL players are allowed to play in the Winter Olympics. A reminder, that was going to be the case in 2022. Then with all the COVID difficulties, it ended up kind of getting canceled. The goal right now is for NHL players to play in the Olympics next year. This is a great showcase. So basically how the format works is it's essentially a World Cup pool. Each team will play the other 3. The top 2 teams at the end of the round robin will play for the championship. So I believe there are 7, that might not be the right number. It's either 7 or 9-ish matches total. So this is going to be great fun. I'm going to pick Canada. I know I'm not picking the U.S. I will obviously be rooting for the U.S., but I think Canada finds a way to get this done. I will say both the U.S. and Canada, as you might suspect, are absolutely stacked. The U.S. has like Austin Matthews. Canada has a plethora of players. Connor Bedard has been lighting it up for the Blackhawks, who are terrible, but he is amazing. So and they've got Sidney Crosby, who's going to try to play. He's a little banged up. So that's going to be great. Sweden is a dark horse in terms of the 4, and Finland's odds are like plus 1,000. So the Finland's definitely the underdog here. US, Canada are both around like plus 150, just to give you a sense of who Vegas thinks are the favorites. But I'm picking Canada. I hope I'm wrong, but it's just a matter of getting points on the scoreboard. It's basically what Josh did with the Kansas City Chiefs is what I'm doing here with Team Canada in this 4 nations.
On Friday, I went to IKEA, and IKEA is Swedish, so I am picking Sweden.
Yeah.
Decision, Josh. And just like that, Josh won the point.
Correct.
I will be picking the US. I thought about picking Finland because I feel for Finland, and I feel for them because they are in the crossfires of conspiracy theorists that think that the only people who live there are Japanese fishermen who don't want anybody else to know about that plentiful region of fishing, apparently. If you guys haven't heard that conspiracy, do yourself a favor and don't look it up on YouTube because it's quite dumb. But Finland does exist. Finland is a real place. I will be cheering for them. I will also be cheering for the U.S. because I picked them. And Blue Jackets' best player, defenseman Zach Werenski, will be playing.
Yes, sir.
And really, if I could just pick anything to come out of this tournament, it would just be that Zach is healthy at the end. If I could pick that instead of a team, I would do that.
Yeah, no doubt. Blue Jackets are playing well. They're hovering in a playoff position as we enter this break, and their best player, basically everyone's injured on that team. Zach is not right now. So yes, that is a noble quest to bring him back healthy. And hopefully with the medal or whatever trophy they're giving out at the end of this.
Johnny, I know we got to get to the next segment. I am so disappointed that you are a Finland truther. I have been
not the middle. It's not more Baltic Sea, Josh. It's a real place.
r/Finland conspiracy since I believe 2019. When was the last time you were in Finland? When was the last time you were in that geographical
When's
region?
the last time you were in Europe, Josh?
Hey, you were down by Bosnia.
You've been
nowhere
but Johnny, you've been the
close.
closest. You've had the best opportunity to go.
I'm gonna pull up my old globe while you transition to the next segment. I don't even care.
All right. I can do that.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
You get like 10 extra points per sport if you also fire a rifle at a target. Like for any and every
Just any sport.
and you get points.
LeBron
And
for
that- and
three
that's-
and then pulls out a rifle and shoots a target.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
Well, Josh is about to pull out a rifle and shoot Johnny for believing in Finland.
With truth, I have Lapland, I have Sweden, and I got nothing else.
I'm with you, Finland.
Yeah. Now, if they go like 0-3 in this tournament, does that to me like that gives more credibility to Josh's argument here?
It does give him more credibility. It does give him more credibility.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah. Well, I can start us because I've got some bad football trivia. And
Yeah.
actually, it may not be bad because it's not our usual, like, what, NFL stadium is closest to a Chili's or anything, which would be great. It's not quite that bad. But I was sitting there watching this football game yesterday. And I think because the score was so just so one-sided, I was like, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, their helmets have white face masks. And then I was like, you know what? There's a bunch of NFL teams whose face mask makes no sense with their team colors or the design of their helmet. So the game today is, what face mask color does this NFL team have? So I've got 6 teams in front of me, and I want to see, maybe I'm just stupid, but I want to see if you and the listeners can play along with this as well. No cheating, everyone. If you can say what color this team's face mask is, and I'm just curious to see what answers we get. So I've got 6 teams in front of me. I'm going to start with my own team, the Detroit Lions. What color face mask do the Lions have?
It's blue.
Gray.
The answer is blue as of this year. They used to be gray
Right.
for a long, long time. They changed it this
right.
year. Josh would have been correct. All right, how about the Indianapolis Colts?
White.
Gotta be white.
What if I told you they were gray?
Ah. Really?
Yeah.
I would drive to your house and set it on fire.
All right.
They're
well,
really gray?
they are really gray.
They're
Yeah, we
gray?
can
No,
look it up.
that's a miss.
I mean,
That's
you
a
can-
miss. That's on them.
Well,
that's
right.
on
Well,
them.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be Googling this every single time because not that I don't believe you.
No,
Aaron,
that's
I
fine.
just-
This is bad trivia,
I
Josh.
hate
You're allowed
that
to not believe
I hate
me.
that you're right.
Yeah. Well, and you're allowed to not believe me because this is bad trivia, and I've been known to just give answers that are just absolutely false.
Oh, it's gray.
It is, yeah, right? All right, how about this one? The San Francisco 49ers.
Is it yellow? It's like that gold yellow.
It's also gray.
It is also gray, Johnny. Yeah. But
I
Josh,
don't like-
exactly.
He's colorblind. It's
I'm
all
literally
gray. It's all
picturing it.
gray to him.
True. Johnny just got lucky. That's true. I am asking a colorblind person these questions. That's what makes it bad because it's
winning.
discrimination.
I'm winning.
But
I'm
Jo-
winning at colors.
Right, Josh.
What
To your
color is every
point,
color rush
gold
jersey?
makes
Gray,
so much
come
more
on.
sense, but their face masks are gray. All right, the
gold would
Washington
kill.
Commanders.
Oh, these jerseys are awful though.
I
so-
would agree with that.
You know what?
All
I'm gonna stick with
iterations.
gold.
They could
I'm
could
gonna
be
stick with that.
anything.
Josh has gold.
Yellow. I think they are yellow.
They are maroon. They're like or whatever color. Yep.
Well, those uniforms should be burned.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Agreed. All right. The New England Patriots.
We're
Red.
not talking about the one in the football crouch stance, right?
Correct. All these are their traditional standard helmets.
Okay. It's gray.
Josh is correct. They are red.
I don't know why I
They
know that.
are.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you can look it up. Well, at least that's what I'm seeing here. Let me make sure this again. This is bad. Now, Johnny's gaslighting me into thinking I'm wrong, but I think I'm right about this. Yeah.
There are some throwbacks that have white.
Yes.
but
their
yeah,
traditional
standard
are
is
red. Yeah.
Wow.
I wrote these questions out and I had to search it. That's
America,
how
baby.
Yeah,
you gotta
they're
get
red.
those, gotta get all colors in.
it's like that's what I'm saying. So I'm not okay. I'm not the only one. The last one is the Tennessee Titans. What color are the Tennessee Titans?
I mean,
on?
I have no idea now.
Right.
How many gifs of Will Levis have I seen this season and I don't know?
Blue.
A lot.
Blue. They're blue.
Blue.
I'll go white.
I think they're
Don't say gray. So
they're
help me.
gray. They're gray. Yep.
Ah. Josh, we should have just said gray every time. We would
You
have
should just said
bat
great.
like
This was
500.
our.
Yeah.
Oh, I have some that are red. Oh, that's an alternate helmet. Never mind. It's not
Yeah.
their standard.
I'm just looking through this list to see if there's anything that's like super wild. But I mean, that's
The Bengals are actually correct at
Right.
least, so you
right.
know,
Most of the
my
others are
team's doing it
correct.
proper.
Yeah, most of the other ones are correct. The other one, bonus point because I don't know who won because I
I'm
wasn't
looking at
keeping
the-
track.
I was looking at all the colors.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Not
I was gonna say
now.
the Minnesota Vikings are another one that are
Oh.
weird.
Okay. What's their like third color? I wouldn't put them as a yellow. I'll go white. I'll go white again for them.
Okay.
Gray.
I'm gonna look.
They're black. Their face masks are black.
What?
Which makes no
Oh, that's
sense.
true. Why?
Why?
All right. Well, moral of the
No, I
story.
didn't clip.
I'm glad I'm
Why?
not the only one that feels this way because I was watching the Chiefs have the white face mask and there's nothing really abnormal about that because it's like they were wearing
it's one of-
white
it's one of their
uniforms.
colors.
But I was thinking, I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, there's some weird ones out there, aren't there? And there are. So, listeners, let us know if you went like 7 for 7 there and you're sitting there laughing at us idiots. Let us know on Twitter at Fifth Goal Sports. Let us know that you are if you went for 7 for 7. Let us know on Twitter that you were the face mask champion.
$1.
Okay, there you go.
I'll Venmo you $1 if you got all 7 right. No cheating.
Yep. All
And
right.
now, just by the way, everyone I know is cheating, so there are no dollars
Correct.
given out.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, guys, that's what I have. There's some bad football trivia for y'all.
Hey, bad football trivia, but for me, good news. As you guys know, I live in Texas. As you guys also know, my heart is still in Ohio. Ohio versus the world. I'm usually the only representative of the Midwest in any friend group, specifically Ohio. I'm not defending Indiana. Please stop making me defend Indiana. I didn't even share this with Johnny yet. Aaron knows what I'm about to say. One of my favorite pizza places, and it's a Columbus original, is Donato's Pizza. It's gorgeous. End-to-end toppings. It's whenever I fly through Columbus, I always go to the little Donato's right next to my terminal
Yep.
and get me a nice little personal pie. I found a TikTok from a DFW food influencer. And she was like, hey guys, that's mean. Hey guys, check out this new pizza place that is so good. McDonald's tried to tried to buy their recipe back in the 90s. It's Donato's. The TikTok I sent Aaron in excitement said opening soon. No, I checked. It's open now.
Oh.
And you know what I am doing on Friday?
Oh. Getting you some
Nothing but
Donatos?
eating. I'm getting a pizza coma
Yes.
on Friday and Saturday, both days.
And then Cece's on Sunday.
And
That's right. That's what I was about to say. The fact that you have
Yes.
Donatos and CC's, Josh, you've become too powerful.
welcome
Plus, whatever
This
Dallas's best pizza is, like you have the Holy Trinity.
Donato's.
Okay, fair enough.
Listen, I love Dallas. Dallas, there's a reason I didn't take you guys to any local Dallas pizza places.
Well, you took us to CC's.
To get to Cece's.
These days, that's local.
Cece's instead.
Yeah.
Listen, no hate towards Dallas pizza. If you're in the DFW area and you're like, hey, this is a great place, let me know. But
I was
I've
gonna
not
say,
found
please
anything that
share
blows
your
me away.
hatred. We'll just get a good list of pizza places to check
we have
out.
great barbecue.
So
We have
share your
great
hatred.
Mexican. We have great Tex-Mex. I've just not found the pizza place yet, and that's okay. If you can only have one or two of the things, you just gotta.
Yep. That's
There's
why
not-
it's a big
listen.
country.
There's bad barbecue in Ohio. I'll be honest. It's not.
How
great.
dare you?
Hey! How dare you? I took you. to
I
Terry
didn't say it
Black's.
was. I didn't
took
say
you.
Terry Black's wasn't better. How dare you defame the name of Ohio on this podcast?
Yeah.
Yes,
I live
right, how
5 minutes
dare-
from some
How dare I make
local
you guys,
barbecue, Josh.
Yeah, how
Yes.
dare I
Local.
make you guys trying to defend city barbecue? I know
Yeah,
that's
local,
local.
Yeah,
city.
I know where
local.
you live.
Our city
I've
barbecue.
had city barbecue at so many weddings, you wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah, right.
That's
Well,
I'm
I
just
can-
really happy. It's
For
very
once,
fun.
I'm
That's-
finally not following a sports thing. It's a miracle.
Whoa!
But I do feel like on this podcast, I'm following every like mid-February. The Shamrock Shakes are back, guys.
Mm-hmm.
They came back on the 5th. I'm always happy about the Shamrock Shake coming back. Also, there's now an Oreo Shamrock McFlurry this year. I'm down to try that.
Okay.
Up for that. Part of the advertising this year, though, is they are bringing back Grimace's uncle. Let me make sure I get his
The
name
lore.
right.
Let's
here.
go.
Yeah, let me make sure I get his name right here. It's
Give me this flavor text.
Olak O'Grimacy. He's Irish, of course, Shamrock Shake.
Right.
So just he's been gone out of the limelight for about 45 years. And you know, we're happy he's back. But the reason
Johnny,
he
why? What
left-
happened 45 years ago? That was Irish. Why would O'Grimacy kind of... What part of Ireland was he from, Johnny?
Oh my gosh!
What part of Ireland was he from?
I can barely read it. I'm just gonna have to read it because it's killing me. All right. So he's the Irish uncle of the purple mascot Grimace, favorite of Mets fans everywhere, of
Right.
course, that you might
Amen.
know. So he has a Kelly green hat. He has a shamrock patterned vest. He's green, of course. He's not purple. And he would travel from Ireland each year, bringing shamrock shakes to McDonald Land. I guess that's Ohio / the whole U.S. And Uncle O'Grimacy was quietly phased out of McDonald's marketing after a few years originally, in part due to an alleged incident in Philadelphia in 1978 where the person portraying him made statements in support of the IRA. And he made some disparaging comments about British soldiers as well in that. So everybody is kind of blaming the Belfast incident on Uncle O'Grimacy and that he was present there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google, do your history lesson for the day. Look up Belfast in the 70s. But I mean, just wild. I mean,
In all seriousness,
just wild.
I was looking at a PhD program in Belfast a few years ago. I've told this story to you guys before, but I don't think I've done it on the show. I knew a little bit about Belfast. I paid attention in my history class. And I was just going through the program, what the requirements were. You know, a European PhD is a little bit different from an American PhD. You don't care. This is a sports podcast. But I went to, okay, what's like Belfast like? And this is in like 2019, 2020. The first phrase when I clicked on, all right, about the campus. Hey, Belfast is safe now. Isn't it great? Look, it's 2020. I would hope that it's been fine for a little bit.
Right.
I don't know if it's fine now.
I don't know
O'Grimacy's
if it's-
back.
But
Mhm.
O'Grimacy's
back.
And again, that was a few years ago. So
What
He
major
was
league
right.
team's
Put away back
adopting
then.
O'Grimacy? If the Mets took Grimace, which
Is
one is
this-
willing
I mean-
to subject themselves to his backstory, let's say, for the hope of a dream season?
Well, I would have said the A's because they're green, but
Right.
no, they're banned from all fun things.
Mhm.
the fans can co-opt if the local Oakland fans can co-opt O'Grimacy if they want. I'll allow that.
Nobody really has a Kelly Green. There's not a lot of green teams in general in baseball now that I think about it. It's kind of wild, actually.
All right, we got to go down to AAA.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
we got to think about this. We might have to think about. Given the Mets aren't purple,
Well, good point. Yeah, good point.
like, so I don't know. We'll see. We have to maybe the Reds plucky
Yeah.
underdog.
Right.
It's always that plucky underdog. So maybe the Reds, but go partake of your Shamrock Shakes and Shamrock Oreo McFlurries, and hope that you don't run into Uncle O'Grimacy while you're there.
Otherwise, he will disparage
We're about
you.
a year late, but the Irish Grand Reunification of 2025 still on track.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Wait, it was on track before O'Grimacy was released,
Oh,
or is that part of it?
Well, here's the thing.
Is that part of
this
it?
is
What
this is his
beautiful
redemption
about
arc.
what's beautiful about that Star Trek episode is that truly, the quote is the great Irish reunification of 2024. McDonald's obviously planned this at the very least 1 year ago. They don't just go, they didn't wake up January 1st and go, you know who we should bring back?
Right.
I love
You know-
defunct mascots. Defunct mascots are the best.
I need more of them.
Yeah, we need
Except
more of
for our alma mater, I did look at our first iteration of the mascot. Hate. Fully hate.
No, Josh, that's the point. That's the point. Have you seen Nebraska's early mascots?
Yes,
Terrifying.
horrifying.
Yeah. Purdue Pete
Horrifying.
I don't-
is
I-
nightmare fuel
I-
now. It was worse
already-
once upon a time.
I already get Five Nights at Freddy's vibes from all of those guys. We can't go through this again.
Uncle O'Grimacy though, he's the real deal.
Uncle
man.
O'Grimacy, I'm so ready for
he's
him.
he's the real deal.
Do they need a guy on weekends to like walk around random McDonald's and like dressed as Grimacy? Because I'll take that. I'll take that.
Are you okay saying bad things about the British?
Have I ever not been? Listen, here's the other thing I've been following. More people on TikTok are still figuring out that British food is bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the amount of like, oh, we're gonna go to this chip shop, and it's like, it is. I thought it was mushy peas, and it's like, no, here's 3 pies. Here's 3 meat pies. Here's like the weirdest, thickest, but not creamiest mash you've ever seen in your life, and then it's this basil-y green sauce that it's like, oh, this is the only place that we ever go, and I'm like, the depression's over. Y'all won the war. You can
Yeah.
live in abundance. Austerity measures are over.
Yeah, put some spice on that thing.
Put some spice on that thing.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper at least, bruv.
Yep. Oh, Josh really hit him with the bruv at the end. Well, that's I don't. Our action statement this week is to call someone bruv, but like do it with a straight face and see how they react. That's your action statement this week. Oh boy, McDonald's, what have you done? What have you done? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, viewers everywhere. There's no good way to end this show after that, but that's what I'm going to do. Thanks for being here this week. I hope your week is great. Enjoy the college hoops, the Luka making Mavs fans sad, whatever is happening this week for you. I hope it's good. We will talk to you all next week. I think it's Josh and I running the show because Johnny is gallivanting all over New Mexico. So your also action statement is just imagine what Johnny could be doing in New Mexico and give us your worst possible answers next week. Homework. So, Johnny, we'll miss you, but have a good trip, man. All right. That does it for us, listeners. Thanks. Get out of here.
Yo, why are you still here? Stop.
Yeah. We never, we could be one of those podcasts that, leave something fun at the end. We're not.
Oh, we're not doing any Easter egg. No, this is dumb.
What? I don't even know what it would be.
Yeah, what? Like, we're going to bring, a cool guest star from 2 years ago back, and he's going to say one line.
Right.
Ha-ha! Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What, we got Paul Rudd in the back? No.
Yeah.
We do not care.
Guys, they're talking about Matt Patricia potentially being hired as the Buckeyes' new defensive
Kill
coordinator.
me.